everyone. I'm Pamela Marshall. Welcome to Sisters of Wellness. I am very, very excited about the show that we have tonight. We are going to learn some really, really critical information about American history. This story of an enslaved African woman in Massachusetts who overheard the conversations about all men being equal and freedom and decided that's what she wanted to. We hear about Rosa Parks being the mother of the civil rights movement. Well, if Rosa Parks is the mother of civil rights movement, then Elizabeth Freeman is the grandmother of the civil rights movement, a woman that went to court, challenged the system that had her enslaved, and won her freedom. The first African American to win their freedom in the court of law even before the Civil War. That is our show tonight on Sisters of Wellness. I hope you'll stay with us. Welcome back to Sisters of Wellness. I'm Pamela Marshall, and tonight we're learning about a woman named Elizabeth Freeman. That was not her original name, but after she went to court and gained her freedom, she changed her name to Elizabeth Freedom. And think about how in the world did we miss out on the Elizabeth Freeman story? I'm just learning about her this week. I don't know if you've heard of her or not, but this is an incredible part of American history. Take a look.
Elizabeth Freeman played a critical role in the fight to end slavery in the United States. Elizabeth was born into slavery around 1744. When she was very young, she and her sister were sent to Sheffield, Massachusetts, to work as domestic servants for Hannah and John Ashley. Elizabeth's life with the Ashleys was far from easy. She did all the hard labor necessary to keep the home running. Hannah was violent. She once hit Elizabeth with a hot coal shovel, scarring her for life. In 1765, Elizabeth gave birth to a baby girl. She named her daughter Elizabeth. Little Elizabeth was also enslaved by the Ashley family. John Ashley became a prominent patriot during the American Revolution. He frequently met with other patriots to discuss the revolutionary ideals of liberty and equality for all. Like many enslaved people in the colonies, Elizabeth wondered whether these ideals applied to her. In the summer of 1780, Elizabeth attended a reading of the new Massachusetts state constitution. The first article read, "All men are born free and equal." Elizabeth knew it was time to fight for her freedom. She asked lawyer Theodore Sedgwick to represent her in court. Theodore worried that focusing the case on a single woman wouldn't work because women did not have many rights under the new government. So he added Brom, an enslaved man from the Ashley household, to the case. In court, Theodore argued that because the state constitution stated that all men were born free and equal, enslaving Elizabeth and Brom was unconstitutional. The court agreed and granted Elizabeth and Brom their freedom. Elizabeth's case was used as a precedent for the total abolition of slavery in Massachusetts in 1783. To celebrate her new status, Elizabeth took the last name Freeman and accepted a paid job as a domestic servant for Theodore Sedgwick. Elizabeth used her earnings to buy her own home and land, where she lived with her daughter until she died in 1828. Elizabeth's intelligence and determination won a crucial victory in the fight to end slavery in the new United States of America.
There was an unveiling on Sunday of a statue to honor Elizabeth Freeman that probably didn't get much national media coverage. And, learning about Elizabeth and her contributions, this was a Black woman who owned land, owned her house. She was a midwife. She was an entrepreneur. She could not read or write, but she had some wisdom and some God given fortitude to approach someone that she knew, a white man who was an attorney, and ask him to represent her in court. And she won her freedom and worked for the rest of her life as a paid servant, as an employee of the family that the husband is the one that went to court to win her freedom. There was an unveiling today, not today, it was Sunday. And I want to just take you to that, if I can, to the unveiling of her statue. This certainly is a wonderful story that I hope that more people will seek out stories like this about people that we don't know much about. Let me see here. Share screen. Mm, Share screen. Here we go. Share screen. And the unveiling of her statue in Massachusetts. Elizabeth Freeman. Elizabeth Freeman finally being honored, immortalized as the grandmother of the civil rights movement. If you ask someone in Sheffield prior to Sunday about Elizabeth Freedom, there's some people, a lot of people who didn't know about her, even in her own community. She was immortalized in this bronze statue of freedom that now stands beside the first congregational church rather, in that community. And it's across the street from the house where she worked for the rest of her life as a paid person, the Sedgwick House. Theodore Sedgwick was the lawyer who represented Elizabeth Freeman and another enslaved man as she sued for her freedom. And one of the reasons that the man was included was because women just didn't have any rights. Imagine, white women didn't have any rights. So for a black woman to go to court to sue for her freedom, and there's her statue there, Elizabeth Freeman. Of the 5,000 plus statues in the United States of America, there are only, I think this is the fifth statue of an African American woman. A few months ago, the statue was unveiled in Washington of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who started Bethune Cookman College. This bronze statue today stands in honor of a woman that was not included in our history books, Elizabeth Freeman. If you want to be inspired, here's a woman that could not read nor could she write, but she wanted things to be right. And she challenged the Supreme Court of Massachusetts. And her case was the case that was used to help outlaw slavery in Massachusetts. As I watch the unveiling of her statue and thinking about all of the heroic men and women of color that did not make the history books, that should make us all so proud. Um, and the race relations, we only hear about the stories of things that didn't go well between black and white people. But there was a white man that represented her that went to court and put his reputation on the line to stand up for a black woman and another slave, a black man, Carrie Knox. Thank you in Jackson, Tennessee. This is amazing information. Thank you for sharing, Carrie, my dear friend Carrie. Thank you so much for watching. Um, you know, when I found out about her, I thought, man, this is starting to make sense. Not every black person in the United States of America was being docile. Not every person was, um, stepping, fetching, whatever they call it, and portrayed as not being very bright, even though she couldn't read and write. Elizabeth Freeman, as they say her name. She was an entrepreneur, a property owner, and the first person in the United States of America to go to court and challenge slavery based on the Constitution that said all men are created equal. And Elizabeth considered herself to be just that. Not only did she win her freedom, but the Sedgwick family that she worked for, they had black and white cemeteries. But Elizabeth Freeman is buried in the Sedgwick Cemetery. That's how much she was respected. That's how much she was revered by the Sedgwick family. And I'm looking forward, as her story has come out, I'm looking forward to hearing story about Elizabeth Freeman's descendants. She had one daughter. That's all that we know right now. I'm sure there's some documents someplace that will tell you more about her. But she had one daughter, and I truly hope that we will begin to learn more and more about people like Elizabeth Freeman. In the 1700s, a black woman leading the way in the civil rights movement to end slavery in the United States of America. This show, Sisters of Wellness, is designed so that we can honor women who have moved the needle, who have opened doors, who have smashed through the glass ceilings. And in Elizabeth Freeman's case, she broke the shackles of slavery in the United States of America. We honor Elizabeth Freeman today. Statue unveiled this past Sunday in Massachusetts. That is our show. I think it's a wonderful show, a wonderful piece of information to share with you today. I'm Pamela Marshall at the Wellness Radio TV and at the Wellness Radio TV podcast. Thank you so much for watching. My book launch is the September 21st, the International Day of Peace, The Art of Forgiveness. If you have not pre ordered your copy, please go to PamelaDMarshall.com and pre order a copy. I'll autograph it and then mail it to you. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Sisters of Wellness. Until next time, I'm Pamela Marshall at the Wellness Radio TV and at the Wellness Radio TV podcast. Remember, there is healing at the well. Enjoy every breath and make it a fantastic moment. We'll see you next time.